running for one part to see the city. That's it. I'm sorry.
There's sound.
Yeah, I think walking to Cruzada Elementary School, learning to swim in Gateway Pool, coming down to the Park Avenue area to go to church, St. Margaret Mary, or get a ice cream at East India. Many times, too many. I am blessed to have spent my childhood there. I moved away here. My wife and I returned in 2007 when I was legally Winter Park. It's a great holiday. And the cultural heritage here is remarkable. And what we have here is so special that it needs to remain intact so that the next generation can take hold of it and learn the way I do and be able to come out and learn. Professionally, I've been an accountant, and now I'm in charge law degree at St. University. I think as a commissioner, you have to have a certain amount of to be able to understand taxes, budgets, finances, codes, and ordinances. I believe I have that background to serve well on the city commission. Other experiences that I've had is with Orange County Development Advisory Board. I volunteer there, as well as other charities in the local area related to health. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that one doesn't work well.
My mic's gone dead, so I'm going to put some new batteries in. In the meantime, Levaya.
First of all, thank you to today's hosts for all their hard work in putting this forum together. And thank you to the audience for being here today and at home for joining our conversation and being Winter Park voters. My name is Angeline Maya. I'm a technology entrepreneur and a proud 14-year resident of our beautiful city, Winter Park. I was born in Zambia, Central Africa, and came to the United States in 1990 to start my college and a career in business. I received my bachelor's in respiratory therapy and a master's in healthcare systems administration from the University of Michigan. I started my business career by launching the very first e-commerce retail website in the country in the year 2000. It was innovative, creative, and what a beautiful time. From there, I had a successful career in the Northeast, consulting with some major companies on showing them how to plan for the future and succeed in the new online business. Everything changed for me when my son to find the best place to raise him. When I visited Winter Park in 2007, I knew I had found the perfect place to call home and have been a proud Winter Park resident ever since. I own 2 small businesses and serve on the CRA advisory board. 14 years ago, I fell in love with Winter Park's historic charm and natural beauty and the amazing quality of life that we enjoy here. I'm running for the Winter Park Commission seat to protect these very values.
Thank you. Okay, technical crisis averted. Finally, Elijah Noel.
Good morning, all. Thank you for having us here today. I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters, Park Avenue, Downtown District, and the Winter Park Boys for hosting this event in this beautiful library that we have here today. So I'm going to adjust the mic. I'm Elijah Noel. I'm running for seat 4, Winter Park City Commission. And I'm a longtime community advocate, 2-year permanent resident now. And I started off at the Geneva School, a middle school here in Winter Park, and eventually graduated from high school at the Geneva School as well, on full scholarship. I went on to Rollins College, academic and partial athletic scholarship as well, where I represented the men's basketball team about 25 pounds ago.
Since what?
And since Rollins, I have gone on to leadership in Winter Park, where I was elected a class representative by peers about twice my age. So hopefully I make the age criteria here for the city commission bid. My platform is simple. Connectivity is a huge part of why I'm running here. That's connecting our cities, parks and recreations through walkways and bike paths. I also stand to support local businesses. I'm currently bringing a local business here through Park Avenue and Winter Park. If fiscal responsibility is a huge reason why I'm running here. That's me in a nutshell. I'll stop talking before I get flagged here. And I look forward to divulging more of who I am and what I believe here in the debate. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, candidates. In this first round of questions, you'll have 1.5 minutes to respond. I wanted to ask you all each about sort of the nature of Winter Park. It's a city that prides itself on having a certain kind of ambiance and scale of development. Do you think that the city is doing a good job of maintaining that balance? And what would you do differently? And we're going to start here with Cruzada and go down the line.
So the city's done a really good job, I think, with trying to keep the character and the ambiance of the city to continue it. What I look at to gauge that is the floor area ratios, the setbacks, the heights of the buildings. These are things that historically they're small to give a sense of place for a person that walks the street, that can look through the windows, see the fenestration, and see inside, or people can see outside, so that they're not over-towering, not being over-towered by the buildings and by the surroundings. The tree canopy is really good. Another aspect of the city, which shades the street and makes it a nice walkway during the day.
Okay, Anjali, Vaya.
Protecting our charm is one of the most important things for us, and I thank for our commission and our mayor for doing a fabulous job with that. Prioritizing and protecting our trees and parks and our lakes, enforcing those tree codes, fully funding our playing fields, with MLK. That is something that I would like to see us do some more, being a mom of a 16-year-old. Ensuring new development projects are in scale and supported by all the residents. And we all love this village and architectural charm that we have, and we're really here to protect that. I would like to see more traffic impact studies done for development issues that are improved. Improved lighting is something that's important, and redesigning our key intersections. Exploring alternative modes of transportation. These might alleviate some of our traffic problems. These are some of the things that I think we can still move forward on, and somebody that thinks outside the box and that's an innovator coming from the technology sector, I hope to bring those issues forward if elected. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Elijah Noel, and I'd like to remind all of the candidates, speak as closely to the microphone as you can. I know it's kind of uncomfortable, but basically kiss it while you're speaking. So, Mr. Noel.
In regards to development, what I would do differently is listen to the experts. I don't think it's my job, or anybody's job, to know everything as regards to logistics of the city. It's our job to lead, delegate accordingly. I think we've missed a lot of opportunities as far as our traffic overlay, what we're doing right now, Progress Point. I would like to see us take more of a consensus and with these two maybe a go. Hear back a lot more from the residents in regards to development here in the city.
Okay, thank you. Todd Weaver.
Thank you, Mike. Can everyone hear me in the back? So,
Yes,
All right, how's that?
Much better.
Okay, thank you. So, I had one of the city staffers go through building permits, and I asked him, how many building permits or building projects have we seen that never asked for a variance or any deviation from our code? And believe it or not, that number is almost 95%. So you can see that only 5% of these projects that come forward are controversial. And to me, the Orange Avenue overlay, the original version, was very controversial, and it did not protect the scale and charm that we all cherish here in Winter Park. So I voted to repeal it, and we spent another year and a half refining it, looking at traffic, the new park, all these aspects to make a better plan. And I think what we've come up with is more fair than the original one was. And ultimately, it preserved our charm. There was a hotel project that came up, and I voted. It never came to a vote, but it was a beautiful project, but just in the wrong location. So these are the kinds of things. There are a very small number of projects that come forward, but most of the builders and developers that develop here follow the rules, and I'm all for that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all. A couple of you mentioned traffic, but we're going to try to dive a little deeper into that. I was wondering if you all could spell out what you think are some possible solutions to Winter Park's traffic congestion and parking issues. As charming as the city can be, there is nothing charming about being on Fairbanks at certain times of the day. So I'd like you to talk about what you would do about that, but I'd like you also to weigh in on whether you think the penny sales tax that's being talked about could be a solution to that. And we'll start with Anjali Vaya and work our way down.
So in Winter Park, you always hear from the residents as I'm canvassing and speaking with all of you that, yes? Okay, that the traffic is a major concern. There are so many things that we can do to work on it, and some of the things that I have listed are traffic studies that we can, have before new developments are approved. I'd really like to see more studies done. Redesign key intersections and exploring alternate modes of transportation in our city. But we can't do this alone. We also need to work with our surrounding municipalities and FDOT. That's very important, and having those relationships. Because a lot of the problem is cut-through traffic is what we're seeing here from our other cities surrounding us. But we can also work with expanding our Sunrail on its operating hours and weekends and add connectivity to the airport. On the penny tax, again, this will probably be an initiative from the mayor, and we'll get some more details from him. I know 2 years ago I was very involved with that, working with the Indian American Chamber of Commerce on advocating that we do have a traffic issue in Central Florida, and if that penny does make a difference, I would be in the favor of supporting it.
Okay, thank you. Elijah Noel.
Yes. In regards to traffic, I don't believe that there's one solution here that would solve the problem. Otherwise, we probably would have done it already. I think an allocation of funds for other certain city projects, maybe over expenditures in certain properties that we're looking to acquire, could be better used in improving the roads that we do own here in Winter Park. As far as the penny sales tax goes, I think it's a wonderful idea and a great way to work with our surrounding municipalities. Especially, I'm good friends here with Orange County Mayor Jerry Demings, and I can't think of a better advocate of a better municipality and group of individuals to work with in the county. Maybe soliciting some money from the state to improve our roads, and traffic studies obviously are a key here. Thank you.
Thank you. Todd Weaver.
Thank you, Mike. I'm an advocate for the penny sales tax, and just to preface that, more than half of the sales tax in Orange County are paid by our visitors from out of town. So it's not a big burden on the taxpayers that live here. So another issue that we have is workforce housing. We have hundreds and hundreds of businesses here that rely on lower wage jobs. Our real estate is too expensive for them to live here. So it makes sense to expand Sunrail and links to allow them to come from other areas. And the penny sales tax is a great way to do that.
Okay, thank you. And finally, Cruzada.
Thank you, Mike. Thinking about roads, because I travel Lake Pond and Lima a lot to pick up my son from school. It is congested. I just don't know if having a sales tax and increasing it would be the best thing. I would like to see feasibility studies on this, especially under COVID. There are a lot of people working from home. I'm not sure if the data is reliable, but I would want to see the data to see the number of car counts, the number of frequencies on Aloma, Lake Pond, and around the surrounding areas. If there is issues with traffic, we're a victim of our own success. I'll just put it to you that way. Everyone wants to come through Winter Park. Everyone wants to be around Winter Park, and we're just gonna have to figure out where the money's going to come from, if we're going to try to do something about it, involve all the communities, because we're all in this together. You can't segregate traffic from one side of the city, because they'll find a way around it and move to the other side of the city. So I'm really hesitant about having a sales tax out there where a lot of hourly wage workers are going to be hit very hard in this inflationary period right now. I just don't know if it's the best decision at this time. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. This is the final question where you have 90 seconds to answer. After that, there will be 1 minute. And this next question is about the charter amendments that are on the Winter Park ballot coming up. And 5 out of the 6 charter amendments call for supermajority votes in certain situations having to do with development largely. So I was wondering if you could all each weigh in on whether or not you are in favor or oppose those amendments and explain why. And we'll start with Elijah Noel this time.
So I guess taking it from a universal standpoint, as in everyone getting to weigh in and getting a large consensus back from the city, I don't know that a supermajority would be necessarily necessary to pass anything. It just seems like a more controlling way to keep power in one designated place of government, while I was fain to largely push for more of a consensus here back to residents. A lot of the things that are getting pushed with the commission right now, that's Winter Park Pines, that's Park Person Point, the postal office. I don't think we're hearing back enough from residents of our city. I don't think there's enough input. I don't think there's enough surveys going out, accurate surveys going out to the entire city. That's east side, west side. I would like to get a lot more of a consensus overall, and maybe having a supermajority vote amongst the city commission is not the way to do that.
Thank you. Todd Weaver.
Thank you, Mike. Historically, we've had supermajority votes on most of these various ballot questions that you'll see on the March 8th ballot. I support all of them. Some of them are pretty much what you'd call no-brainers. We don't want to make it easy to build in wetlands. We don't want to sell city property unless it's very, as my opponent says, we have consensus. So if you have a supermajority on a commission, you pretty much have consensus. So that makes sense to me. There are a number of reasons why we didn't have them, but this time the commission decided to rather than doing it by ordinance, let the voters decide, and it's up to you, and I hope you'll vote for all 6 of these amendments. Thank you.
Thank you. Cruzada.
Thank you, Mike. I have my personal opinion about this because I'm a lawyer, and I remember in constitutional law class, there's a supermajority in the Constitution to change the Constitution.
be sure to speak close to your microphone.
I'm sorry, to change the Constitution. And so when I look at the supermajority issue that comes up, I want to know that if what we're doing is trying to protect something, and there's got to be a real big consensus or compelling reason to do something different. The topics that these supermajority questions are, I think it's a no-brainer. To sell city property. That's important because we all know property is becoming more expensive, and once we let it go, we're never going to get it back because it's going to be too expensive. The second supermajority question, rezone park and public land. I am sorry, but I do not want to do that if something's changing in a drastic way. It needs to be a supermajority. There needs to be a consensus. Changing future land use amendments for residential and lakefront. Again, not something that I would be for. But other ones, actually all of them I'm for. Land development code, rezoning greater than 25% of maximum allowed. That is an important one. We don't want to go somewhere that somebody has a 25% increase and then the cities are the citizens are upset about it, and it's kind of gone over the city commission, and they can't do anything about it. So I'm for it. Again, it's up to the residents. Thank you.
Thank you. And Anjali Vaya.
So I have been attending the city commission meetings, and when this was put forward, I was there, and I thought really hard about this personally, and then actually went out to the residents and some of the businesses to speak to them about it. I support the charter amendments and believe that they will go a long way in protecting our city's charm, but also reducing the divisiveness. There needs to be more discussion whenever we have a irreversible change in our city. So I look at most of the projects as I've been in these commission meetings, 90% of them do go through. It's that 10% that's out of scale or there has been an issue that we really need to have more engagement and a process. And we did historically have a supermajority in place, and I did speak with somebody in our planning that's a 40-year veteran, and he suggested from his experience on both sides that the supermajority actually created more dialogue and it helped us protect our charm. And the supermajority is there, like on all of these six sections. It's there to help us create more dialogue and get the best project forward for Winter Park to always be this beautiful city that we're protecting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, candidates. We're now moving into the questions where you have 1 minute to answer. I'd like to ask you each first whether you think that the city should acquire the post office property for future use for additional green space, and how much money you're willing to spend to get it. We'll start this time with Todd Weaver.
Oh, great. One of my favorite subjects. So my stance on the post office is this. Part of the divisiveness that has happened in Winter Park was when the Carlisle was proposed for that site. Our Central Park, without that, we wouldn't have the vibrant businesses that we have on Park Avenue. It would have deleted the draw from our visitors that come here and spend their money. And I was vehemently opposed to it. And we put a few things in place to protect that site via zoning, and one of them obviously is on your ballot this March. But the post office is free to sell that property to anyone they want at any time. So I'm happy to leave the post office there. It fits the park, it fits Park Avenue for the next 100 years. That's perfectly fine, but I never want the city to ever be in a position to not be able to purchase it.
Okay, thank you. Cruzada.
Yes, thank you, Mike.
I look at the Central Business District Park as an iconic symbol of what Winter Park is. Everyone knows that park, everyone loves that park. And I analogize it to other parks in the country. I lived in Atlanta, there was Piedmont Park. I lived in St. Louis, there was Forest Park. Everyone knows about Central Park in New York. You know, these iconic parks, if there's given an opportunity to expand it, we should go down that path to look at it very strongly. The price tag, again, I don't know if it's the exact price tag, but I'd like to have an overview and a study of what it's going to be. But given the opportunity, and if we have the money, and if the post office is willing to sell, I'd be for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anjali, Vaya?
So I again have been attending the commission meetings, and I do serve on the CRA advisory board. So I extensively researched the post office when it became a dialogue. My view is that this property should either be city owned if it ever were to come up for sale, or be green space. And I'm very strong on that position, that those are the only two options that that area would have if it were in a position to be sold. I have heard from a lot of residents that are very happy with its current location, as well as the business district. This is in the center, and it's again a very good location. And this would only, these conversations should only start if the postmaster is willing to sell it. I do approve of setting aside $7 million from the CRA.
Thank you. Elijah Noel?
I have trouble rationalizing spending about 3 times the market value on the post office to provide more green space here in the city that we essentially no one's asking for, and we have more green space than we know what to do with. This would cause an extra burden upon our Winter Park Recs department, as they would have to maintain this space. I'm sure that would be another couple $1 million. And again, I don't see the urgency to acquire this property or move it. Consensus is a huge thing. I'll keep touching on that. I would like to hear back from the residents and the voters on why this property, what should happen with this property. And if and when the post office is ready to sell, I think they should have the burden of funding their new spot, and then hopefully we can roll over some dollars back our way, not taking out the taxpayers' pockets. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, candidates. Next question is a simple one. It's an old chestnut. I wondered if you could each talk about what your top priority is should you be elected, and how you would go about implementing that. And we're back to starting with Cruzada.
So I grew up off of Sherbrooke Road, and a lot of my childhood memories are along the old Naval Training Center, which is now Baldwin Park. And there's a dog park there. I remember growing up sailing on that lake, going out. I see the Orlando Sailing Club is there. I would try to put a venue there so that we can have proper docks to have those sailboats out on the water so that people can go there and sail and enjoy it with their families. That would be one of the things that I would like to do for that area. Other things would be to look at how, again, I'm an accounting guy by nature, go through the books, look at where we have positives, look at where we have negatives. I think I would start, and I'm sure Mayor Anderson's going to cringe, with the internal audit department to see what's going on with the city, to get a real, true good look at what's going on. So that's where I was thinking.
Okay, thank you. Anjali, Vaya?
One of the things that's close to my heart is to energize our economy after COVID. Being a small business owner and a background, I know what it takes to thrive in today's economy. I am the vice president of the Indian American Chamber of Commerce that does over $1 billion activity in the state of Florida. I would like to see if we can strengthen our economic development advisory plan and work with them, with the advisory board, on creating more economic plan that can sustain us as well as improve us in the future. It's very important for us to start these dialogues now, and coming from the technology and innovation sector, I know this would be a valued asset to the current commission to bring in. I'd also like to see and work on safer pedestrian paths as well as wider streets. These are all issues, as well as transportation, as I had mentioned prior. Thank you.
Thank you. Elijah Noel?
Anjali touched on it a bit, but connectivity is huge for me. And that's not just in the physical sense, connecting our parks and recreation centers through bike paths and walkways, but also in theory, right? Connecting the youth of our city residents to City Hall, as well as City Hall and the rest of the city to the west side. There's a lack of representation largely on the west side. And I think when I am elected, I would like to represent the entire Winter Park through connectivity and unity throughout the entire city.
Thank you. Todd Weaver?
Thank you. I take a holistic approach to governing in the city, and my colleagues up here have pointed out a few things, but I have a list this long. And as far as connectivity, part of the Progress Point Park plan is to extend the bike path down to Mead Garden and onto the Orlando Trail. We talked about traffic, and one of the things that I pushed for, and we acquired 2 of the properties at the corner of West Fairbanks and Denning to put center turn lanes in. And probably the most important initiative that we're working on now is phase 2 of the undergrounding of our fiber optics network. And a few years from now, we'll be able to connect all residents and businesses, and they'll have choices of their internet service provider, and the city will own the conduits. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, candidates. One thing I neglected to mention that the league had asked me to mention at the beginning was, should you feel the need to use the restroom and you're not familiar with the building, it's go to the top of the stairs, take a left, and hang another left, and you're there. Okay, let's move on to a question that comes to us from a member of the Winter Park Library's Teen Advisory Board. One of those board members wanted you all to explain your stance on COVID policies for the city of Winter Park. And I think you can treat that both as a critique of the COVID policies since the pandemic began, and what your ideas are for public health moving forward, since COVID doesn't appear to be going anywhere. And we'll start this time with Anjali Vaya.
So, my background is in respiratory therapy and in healthcare systems administration. And in my past, while I was in Central Africa, I did work with the HIV pandemic when it had hit. This is a very serious issue that has happened, and we've all had to deal with it, whether it is in our personal lives or in our business impacts that it has had. We do have to really go by the CDC guidelines, and we also have to really look at this from our own safety. I take care of my parents that are, over 80 years, and it's very important to me that we all protect each other. That is a very safe and healthy, and that'll create that atmosphere for us to really boom in the future and economically also sustain and not be closing our stores, as well as far as just making sure that we are all following the guidelines. Thank you.
Thank you. Elijah Noel?
Can you repeat the question for me, please?
Yes, the question is from a teen advisory board member who wanted to know what your stance on COVID policies for the city of Winter Park are, and I suggested you could critique the policies the city had at the start of the pandemic, and what kind of public health measures it should take going forward to deal with COVID.
Sure. I believe the city has done a great job, and kudos to the staff and the current city commission on implementing rules to regulate and govern amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. I've had conversations with a lot of my friends who don't take or didn't take COVID as serious as they maybe should have, and I will blame that maybe on youth. But it's a serious problem and then I'm sure we'll keep dealing with it on some level with the only crime they're in. I would like to see a concentrated effort to help all the businesses that were lost. I believe 110 businesses were lost amidst COVID-19 pandemic in Winter Park. I would like to see a concentrated effort to bring those businesses back or support them as needed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Todd Weaver?
Thank you. I'm happy to say that our policies that we instituted when the vaccines came out with city staff have been pretty effective. About 80% of the staff is now vaccinated, and we're continuing with the weekly testing program for those that chose not to be vaccinated. I'm happy to see most of you wearing masks here in this very tight space, and I think that's going to be important, especially for very old and very young people. And I wish you all health and happiness, and we'll get through this. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris Cruzada?
Yes, I think the city is doing a good job, excuse me, with this policy. I know it's been very difficult to discern from the data that's coming out from the federal government, from the state government, from the county government, to know exactly what's happening and get a snapshot in time. I am a person that, by my nature, I like to take responsibility for my own, for what I can change around me. If it's wearing a mask and being sensitive to others, that's what it is. If I feel sick or if I'm coughing, I don't go out. And so I know it's been difficult for the city, but Elijah mentioned something that is really important, is that a lot of businesses have closed. And I don't know how we get those businesses back, especially when other variants can come out. It's very difficult for a small business owner to invest or reinvest in themselves when the market may not be there. I think there needs to be things that we can try to do to help some of these small businesses, either through the Park Avenue District, to be able to have an online web presence for some of these bespoke services and boutiques along Park Avenue. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, candidates. Let's move on to a question from the audience. We have a question that says, do you support the city adopting a goal to reach 100% renewable energy? And if so, why? Or if not, why not? Elijah Noel, will you start?
Yes, simply I would support a goal of reaching 100% of renewable energy. The movement to go electric and be more environmentally safe is not only popular, but I think benefits just about any municipality. It really benefits the world. So I'm very much in favor for it and would support any steps moving in that direction.
Thank you. Todd Weaver?
Thank you. I too support that. There are some roadblocks in the way, and I'm thankful I see my colleague, Commissioner Sullivan, who has been advocating to reach 100% renewable energy for the city by 2050, and our Sustainability Action Plan, which I hope to pass soon, has that goal at 2035. That may not be achievable, but I believe we can get to 80% by 2030. I put solar on my house. I drive an electric car. These things are cost effective now, and solar energy is now the cheapest way to generate power, so it makes good economic sense too.
Thank you. Chris Cruzada?
So yes, I would support the initiative for 100% renewability. City of Winter Park is special in the sense that it owns its own electric company. And so it can do things that can promote renewability. More importantly, though, I think there's other things that we can try to do. Zero carbon emission with our cars, which I think we've done, and also sustainability. I'm a part of a small business that has been in agriculture, and our goal has been to do carbon sequestration. Right now, with my small business, family business, we've got possibly about 160 acres doing some type of carbon sequestration. And I think it's very important. And there are other aspects of what farmers are doing to even promote maybe oxygen generation as a way for smaller farmers to try and make a living. So I think what we're trying to do goes a long way, a long, long way. So when Todd says to me he drives an electric vehicle, well, I drive a V8, but I have carbon sequestration going on our family land. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Angeline Maya?
So I do absolutely would hope for us to move in that direction. Coming from the technology sector and looking at a lot of the cities throughout the United States, a lot of them are moving this way. And a lot of the local governance is giving a lot of incentives for the cities to move in this direction. It is part of the smart city solution, and it improves our quality of life in a very, very tremendous way. And this is the future. The electric cars, really being efficient with our energy. The pricing is starting to come down as well. We're in a competitive space now where initially there weren't as many options as there are today. So our city definitely should be going in this direction. I would absolutely support it, and this would be very important for our future generations like my son will.
Thank you very much. Thank you, candidates. I next wanted to ask you about affordable housing, which is really one of the most crucial issues facing any community these days. I was wondering what specific ideas you have to increase the inventory of affordable housing and the quality of affordable housing, and to maybe just as important, preserve existing affordable housing in the city. Todd Weaver, it's your turn to go first.
Thank you. Again, I'm going to give kudos to my colleague, Commissioner Sullivan, on this when we were in the final stages of passing the new Orange Avenue overlay. He suggested that we give additional entitlements to the big property owners for the sole purpose of workforce housing. Now, workforce housing is a little bit more expensive than the definition of affordable housing, but with the land prices in Winter Park, it's going to be difficult to promote very much affordable housing. But workforce housing is something that I can see on the horizon, where if somebody wants to put up a big apartment building, okay, you can do that, but part of it has to be workforce housing. Many of our city staff can't afford to live in our city, and I think that's a shame, and I'm for rectifying that.
Thank you. Cruzada?
Yeah, so I want to recognize LaShonda Lovett here, who is a part of the Winter Park Housing Authority. Affordable housing has been something that I've been a part of for a very long time. And Winter Park has some very big challenges. Land prices are very expensive. And so trying to expand the footprint of affordable housing is going to be very difficult, because you have to get more subsidy for the land entitlement process, or you have to be able to convince somebody to donate it over to the city or to a nonprofit to be able to build on it. More importantly, I think there are issues that we should try to be addressing with maintenance. I know that from my conversations with Winter Park Housing Authority, the Plymouth, their senior living facility, is having difficulty with their roof, or they're going to have a new roof really soon. So these are issues that we need to take care of our inventory right now. And if we can do that, it goes a long way in having affordable housing in the city of Winter Park. If we can expand it, that's great, but I know it's going to be very difficult. We've got other competing interests and investors that are coming in to try to take money away. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Anjali, Vaya?
So affordable housing, of course, is a very big issue in Winter Park. For very many of us, specifically when you're starting a career, or, let's just look at all of our fire or police staff, everyone's traveling so many distances to come here, and they're all part of our community. So we really need to find options of how we're going to resolve this in the future. I'm, very supportive and very pleased. Just a couple of months ago, I had visited one of the homes right next to Keepin on the work of how George does with the Habitat of Humanity. These are projects that are great options that we can continue to support. I also spoke with LaShonda from the Winter Park Housing Authority, and we should continue our partnerships with the Habitat of Humanity. And home ownership is at the core of Winter Park as a city of homes. This is something we really need to work hard on. The OAO has created incentives for workforce as well, so I'm glad to see that.
Thank you. Elijah Noel?
I think we're all generally, at least in theory, in favor of affordable housing. Sadly, there's not a lot available for young professionals. I know quite a few Rollin professors can't even afford to live in the city because property tax and everything is so high, the value of the land. As far as solutions, this could be another consensus thing, as well as, maybe combining mixed use, commercial and residential areas, similar to what we do in Running Park Village. Right now, people kind of live up top amongst the shops and businesses, while there is business and shops down below. So I think incorporating that maybe more, possibly seeing that on Park Ave or other areas would be beneficial to the city.
Okay, thank you very much, candidates. Just to check in, how are you in the back hearing everyone, okay? A thumbs up? Great. All right, well, let's move on to another audience question. This one says, we are here at the library. As you know, the city and the city and the library have a 136-year partnership. If elected, will you fully fund and support the library's budget request, and why? Cruzada, you're going first this time.
So of course I'm an accounting by nature because of my background. I'd really have to go through a lot of the details within a budget before I would approve a budget. Maybe there are things that can be worked out. Maybe we can get some grant money through other sources, but my intent would be to try to fully fund it if it makes sense and if all the numbers match up.
Thank you. Anjali, Vaya.
This library is so exciting for, that we're even sitting in here today. It's got so much technology in it. I would like to see us support it and help it in any way and form. It is now part of our community. This is a signature piece. So we need to, make sure that we're able to find the funds for it and to work the numbers. And whether it's, I know the board works very hard with raising some funds, but also with grants and some other options. But definitely, this is part of our city, it's part of our character, and it's part of our future for our next generations. So we must find ways on how we support and move it forward to be the best library.
Thank you. Elijah Noel.
Of course, we would comb through the budget with a fine-tooth comb and look at every aspect of it. But I see no reason why we would support the library and all its efforts. It is a lot more accessible to students here on the west side. It's a beautiful place to be in. We're in it right now. And I would absolutely support the budget as long as it panned out and the city, it's not costing the city too much of a burden.
Thank you. Todd Weaver.
Thank you. I've always been a supporter of the mission of the Winter Park Public Library, but as you know, I've always been concerned about the maintenance costs on these buildings. So I'm a big proponent of advertising the event center to fund some of these activities, but I do think there's bigger responsibility by the library board to do fundraising adventures. And now that we have this beautiful space in place to show off, I think those efforts will be fruitful.
Okay, thank you all. I'd like to ask you about single-member voting districts in Winter Park. Do you believe that voters should have an opportunity to vote on that in a referendum? And what is your personal feeling about whether the city should have single-member voting districts? And we'll start with Anjali Vaya.
This is a topic in our city that has been an ongoing conversation that I welcome. But I also think there are a lot of questions that are unanswered of what it would look like if we went towards a single district. We need more conversations, more dialogues with residents before we make any decision. More education is also needed of what it would look like. And personally, I have questions about it as well, as I've heard a lot of residents confused about what the implementation would look like. In large proportion, all the residents are passionate about it. If they are, then we definitely should consider it and add it as a referendum vote. But again, this will take a lot of dialogue between us to make sure this is the direction we want to go on.
Thank you. Elijah Noel.
I'm going to use a word that I haven't used this morning, consensus. There are obviously pros and cons to bringing about single member districts, but I would more than anything, I would put it to a vote. There are bigger municipalities than us that are single member district. There are smaller municipalities in Winter Park that have single member districts. I believe it would strive towards a goal of representation, but there also might be some unintended consequences behind promoting and having single member districts. But again, let's put it to a vote. Let's hear back from the residents and make a best decision for the city moving forward.
Thank you. Todd Weaver.
Thank you. The vote during the pandemic to put single-member districts on the ballot failed. And it was because I had a migraine that night. There was a number of other issues that I wanted to vote on, but just couldn't do it. And I apologize, and I apologized before. But we continued to talk about single-member districts after that vote. And it became clear that all the issues involved with the implementation and what my colleagues up here talked about just weren't worked out yet. So the underlying issue for me was diversity in government, and you can see from this panel up here that we have that, and that's a result of our being able to, as commissioners, being able to appoint people that weren't available or weren't going to get picked. And I think we've made that jump where representation by minorities, women, and other folks that weren't here before is possible now.
Okay, thank you. Cruzada, and we've had a request that if the candidates could maybe take their mics out of the stand and again, put it as close as possible to your mouth because we're still having some trouble with some people hearing. So,
Okay, how about that?
Thank you, sorry.
All right.
Yeah.
So single member districts. I personally would be against a single member district. And this is just my reason. The city of Winter Park is 29,000 residences. And during a campaign cycle, if you're diligent, and as many institutions that we're blessed with in this city, you can reach all the residents. I mean, I look at walking weekends or weekdays, if I have the time, I can hit 150, 200 residences. And if I'm diligent enough, I can probably hit all of the residents, but I'm focusing on voters, obviously. But I think that should be an overreaching type of perspective. We are all one body, okay? I do not want to pit districts against districts. I look at the charter redistricting going on in Orange County, and I cringe a little bit. Now there's another thing that we're gonna fight about. I don't want that. If we can all come together and have our institutions and our residents come together to vote, that'd be great. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Lost track a little. Everybody get a chance to answer that? Yes. Okay, great. I wanted to ask you all, now that the city library has relocated to this fine facility here, what's your recommendation for future use of the old library on Fairbanks? And Elijah Noel, could you go first?
I think there were conversations about Rollins possibly acquiring that. If there was a meaningful purpose to Rollins doing that, I would support that initiative. Other than that, I truly trust the city staff and the city overall to find a amiable purpose to that land, whether it is maybe a reallocation of the one of the post office or anything else we're thinking about moving. I'm pretty much open to whatever we can come up with as a group. I'm sure great minds will put that purpose to great use.
Thank you, Todd Weaver.
Thank you. I am not a proponent of tearing that building down for any reason. Part of our sustainability action plan is to promote reuse of buildings rather than filling up our landfill. Orange County only has about 30 years left of landfill space, so putting a almost a bomb shelter built building in that landfill is not attractive to me. Parking has been an issue for the library in the past, and that was one of the reasons for moving it. So a first floor that mimics Plant Street Market or East End Market would be appealing to me. Some space on the second floor for our many art museums to display parts of their collection that can't fit in their space would be an idea, and the current parking would support those uses.
Thank you. Cruzada?
Yeah, so that intersection, I'm always at it, because I'm picking up my son from St. Margaret Mary, and it always backs up on Chase around the corner. I'm always concerned about bringing a use there that's going to bring more traffic to that area. And maybe we can have a lower density use out of it, maybe just an office or a business incubator. I tend to talk with software coders and writers that are doing startups, and they're always having trouble finding a place to do their coding since a lot of people are working from home under COVID. So they need a safe space that's quiet, that they can go to late at night, and work. And I think that could be a perfect place. If we can have partnerships with small startups that are in software, there are many investors up and down New England that probably greenlight it, we may make some money off of it. So that would be my suggestion for a use. Thank you.
Thank you. Anjali, Vaya?
So the old library is a gateway into the heart of our city, and it should always remain city-owned. There's so many great things that we could do with it, like an extension of the Morse Museum or the Rollins Art Museum. Business entrepreneurship is very important. Maybe we could have an incubator there with having such great, colleges surrounding us like Full Sail and Rollins. It definitely could be an option with the private sector on doing something like that, which with keeping it with low density. Again, this is the gateway, this is the heart of our city, so whatever we do, we have to make sure that there is a dialogue with our residents on what they would like to see, and that's very important. Continue the conversation.
Okay, thank you, candidates. This next question, maybe you can just give a quick, maybe not quite a yes/no answer, but a quick answer. Do you think city commission meetings should be held at night rather than during the day when a lot of people might be working? Todd Weaver, can you go first?
They are held at night.
Until 11 o'clock.
But seriously, I've heard from several people that they don't understand why our meetings are so long. And the reason is all of us honor the Sunshine Law, and this is really the only time we get to talk. And I mentioned the skill of negotiation of this panel that I serve with. And that's the reason that the meetings are so late, or go so late. So I think for citizen input, we have a 5 o'clock question and answer session, but I would not be opposed to moving the starting time to later in the evening. But I also want to warn you that that could mean midnight and 2 o'clock commencements too. Thank you.
So, Chris Cruzada, to clarify, should city commissions start at night rather than during the day?
I think it'd be a great goal, but I've seen a couple of the meetings where it's 2 consecutive nights or 2 meetings that run long, and the morning after, everyone's at the city is discombobulated because they've been there very late. We do have to be sensitive to our staff that work for us. So I think it would be an honorable goal to try to attain, but maybe we continue the open access to Zoom. Maybe we have a communications director that communicates out to people that when their issue comes out, they can jump on a Zoom. I'm not sure what the best approach is, but I'm open to suggestions and a consensus again on what we can do.
Okay, Anjali, Vaya.
So I've been attending a lot of the commission meetings for the past several months. And yes, as our Commissioner Todd Weaver said, I've been there past midnight. And it is difficult on the staff. They have some of the staff that I've spoken to, they do get exhausted sitting through it. But, I have to commend everyone that they really are there to do the best, and a lot of these meetings are going longer. Again, technology can play a role in that, on trying to maybe have more residents communicate through Zoom and via other communication channels. I'd like to see more of that and more involvement and engagement versus a resident coming in and sitting through that whole process. I'd also like to see that after the meetings are over, that we do have a bullet point of some sort that really tells the residents what the meeting looked like.
Thanks very much. Elijah Noel?
Assuming other municipalities also follow the sunshine laws, I wonder if brevity and conciseness is something we could maybe work on within the commission meetings. I don't believe or know that 8 to 9 hours is a standard meeting time. But to answer the question, I would be in favor of moving it back if we were possibly able to shorten these meetings, not by throwing out any agenda items, but by being a little bit more concise as a whole.
Okay, thank you. Speaking of concise, we've reached the point in our forum where you can offer some closing comments if you wish. We drew from a deck of cards. You all drew from a deck of cards, and the order starts with Elijah Noel.
I truly believe it is time to be the change that we all want to see in our own community. For those of you that are discontent with the direction that the city is going in, this change, it starts with a vote. It will be a vote for me. I can promise you 3 things as your city commissioner. That is, I will be consistent, I will be transparent, and I will aim to represent all of Winter Park. And that is why a vote for me, a win for me, will be a win for us all. Thank you for having me here today.
Thank you. Anjali Vaya?
I'm running for the Winter Park City Commission seat 3 because I love our city and I want to protect and contribute to its incredible 140-year history. I want you to know a few things about me. First, I'm heavily involved in our city as a CRA advisory board member, working with the commission to create positive change for the residents and businesses. Secondly, as a technology entrepreneur and web developer, I will bring a fresh perspective and a new set of skills to the City Commission that we've never had before. Third, I'm an incredibly hard worker and have attended more than a dozen City Commission meetings in the last several months. If elected, I will wake up every morning asking myself, what can I do to serve the Winter Park residents? And finally, I want to start a conversation about protecting our past and planning for our future. Things like bikes, pedestrian connectivity between neighborhoods and parks, fiber optics and broadband lines to our homes and businesses. These are all possible. We just have to start the conversation and have a creative mindset. I invite every resident to join the conversation by visiting Vaya for WP.com and voting on or before March 8th. I am always here to listen. Please call me or email me. I would love to hear from you on how we can make our city even more beautiful.
Thank you. Cruzada.
Yes, thank you, Mike. Thank you, Park Avenue District. Thank you, Winter Park Boys. Thank you to everyone for being here. Looking back in the past of where Winter Park has come and where it is today, it is clear to see that many people and institutions have supported this city to make it what it is today. And I'm hoping that I can add to that and enhance it, not by major shifts, but managing it so that the next generation can enjoy the city the way I did. Walking its streets, biking its avenues, playing in the street. These are things that are vital to a community. young families and residences moving back in and going to our institutions. My daughter is a good piano player, and she started at the Rollins College Community School of Music. That's an institution that if I didn't live here, I wouldn't know about it and would not be able to spend time there. And these are things overall, because there's a lot of institutions that do a lot to make our life better. So what I'm hoping is that you'll consider me for your next commissioner because of my background and experience, and as well as my my level of hopefully, my level of expertise. So thank you very much, and vote for Cruzada, March 8th, 2022. Thank you.
Thank you. Todd Weaver.
Thank you, Mike. Those of you that remember the debates from years past, the important question was, what was Todd going to pick from his garden? So this is a Japanese eggplant, so that's the vegetable of the day. So I served 10 years on Lakes Advisory Board, 4 with Orange County and 6 with Winter Park, and it became evident to me that being in government was a time-consuming business. So when I ran for office, I actually retired 4 years early so I could do this job right. I put in about 25 to 40 hours a week attending commission meetings, civic engagements, workshops, and so forth. And I'm willing and committed to doing that time for the city, and I think the citizens deserve that. Thank you.
Well, candidates, thank you very much. Now's the time to applaud. Thank you all. I want to thank everybody who's involved in putting this on. These are really, really important to me and to voters and candidates. Thanks for being brief, and thanks for following the rules, and thanks for your willingness to serve.
All right, let's put our hands together for Mike Laugh for you guys. Great, we just want to say thank you so much for being here. Thank you for promoting civility and kindness to one another. Thank you all for encouraging them to get out there and run for city commission, because this is not a job that everybody wants to do. So we appreciate all 4 of you. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you again to all of our partners for making this possible. And go support your businesses on Park Avenue.